Hello and welcome back everyone. My name is Andrea Jos. I am a biology teacher and a science communicator. And some of you may have seen me yesterday. I am one of the hosts. And I was asked by Design Terminal and X Europe to be here with you. So in the next hour or so, we will cover the hottest topics of agriculture today, starting with a topic that you may have heard about in the recent times. It's the importance of bees. Here are our wonderful guests. Two of them are here in person in the studio, and one of them we will talk to online. So, Gábor Szalkai from Bayer, Hungaria, Ru Wickman online, I hope Ru you can hear us, and István Arnóc from Space Apps. Yeah, and there is Ru. Exactly. Yeah, I was too fast. Sorry for the cameramen had to find my pace. So, welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. And my first question is, why is this question important right now from the field of your expertise? Please take on that.
Hello everyone, I'm István Arnóc from Space Apps.
You can just look at me because then you know everyone.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm the CEO of Space Apps. This is a small startup which is focusing on EO, Earth observational data. Mm-hmm. And we started to develop IoT devices which can be inserted into beehives. So we are monitoring beehives activity in the hive and also the surroundings, how bees interact with plants and vegetation. Mm-hmm. I think it is important to have a record to be able to analyze what happened. We don't say that we can exactly tell what is happening, why, but without measurements and records, we only have ideas and guesses.
Thank you very much. I don't know who would like to go on, Gábor or Ru, you, who is faster to answer?
Maybe me.
I guess. Okay.
I was the faster, sorry.
Okay,
good afternoon, thank you very much. And thank you for Design Terminal and X Europe to be here, representing Bayer as the global, well-known life science multinational company here, and to share our view and sustainability of our corporate strategies. And for sure, Bayer is represent themselves on health and agriculture, and agriculture is our nutrition of people, helping people to be healthy is very, very important. And to be healthy for people, we need bees. And it's a very important part of agriculture and very important to take care of bees and all pollinators, not only honeybees.
Thank you. And now asking Ru to check in with us. And please tell us. Hi. I can perfectly hear you, which is a good sign.
Okay, well, that's great. Yeah, I feel a little bit of an outsider being here, the only person online, but well, we'll make it work anyway. So yeah, my name is Ru Wickman. I'm the CEO and co-founder of BeeSage. BeeSage is a beehive monitoring system that provides real-time data for beekeepers, helping them to take care of their colonies by saving time and also reducing bee mortality. So essentially our focus is using various sensors such as temperature, humidity, sound, also weight of the scales to actually help beekeepers understand what's going on in the hives where they're not present. And also we want to use this same data to also help to boost the bee population, because we all know that the climate is changing, it's unpredictable, there's many other problems facing bees currently, and we are trying our best to do this to actually help in this regard. But we're very new. The startup only really was established in May, accidentally on a World Bee Day.
How would you say accidentally? What does that mean? I mean, all three of us are just looking at you like accidentally.
I know it sounds a little bit weird, but that's just the way it happened, because we were just taking part in an accelerator and we were forced to actually incorporate. We were trying to really take our time, but then I just submitted the registration and it got approved on 20th of May. And it's a sign from God, in my opinion. So.
I see, perfect. Yeah, it might be a bit strange for the viewers. If I look at you, then you see my eyes, but I prefer looking at your face. So, like, sorry if my head is like this, because now I can see your face and can answer you. So, my question would be for all three of you, that how can we tackle this problem that there must be a healthy environment for humans, enough food for humans, and also healthy environment for bees. What can we do, and what are the basic problems, and how to answer them?
Please.
So, thank you very much.
Okay.
We as a multinational company are ready to helping farmers. I think we have to change our approach. So nowadays...
Like now? How do you mean? And you as a company or everyone?
Farmers have to change their approach, everyone, all the society have to change their approach. So nowadays, in very difficult times, and it's a fortune that we can sitting here close to each other, I think the science is more than important than ever, and our everyday life is one permanent thing, in our everyday life is changing. And as Darwin said, who lives through or the evaluation strategy is that who adopt faster the changing.
Let me ask a small question. Like, you represent a huge company. How can you change your approach? So you talk about, everyone, I'm sure that's true, everyone has to change the approach. What do you do to help this cause?
I think a huge multinational company can use their power and synergies for sustainable development, and not only speaking about sustainability, we would like to be the leader of the sustainability through our new innovation, as we are sitting in a panel with very impressive new approach project of Bee Life, and collecting the data, and after that to calculate or use this data in a better way, and try to help farmers and all the society to reach this new science and innovative technologies.
I see. Well, the data is now in the air, so I guess it's your take now.
Yeah, actually, I think what is important that you as a chemical company, you produce chemicals which have the how to the usage prescription. And we don't know exactly how agriculture, how farmers will use these chemicals. And through the beehives, we can monitor how these chemicals were used in the environment. This is one important point, that as we are doing similar stuff, monitoring beehives and bee health, we can actually track back if any farmers in the given location was maybe malusing any kind of stuff there. Or maybe it was not them. But by recording the data of the beehives, we can also see whether maybe the beekeeper didn't do something properly, or also possible that there is some kind of infection. We know what infection means in our everyday life right now, but this is actually continuous in bee life. We in Hungary have more than 50 quarantine zones actually right now in the country, and this is because we have huge amount of hives, huge amount of bee colonies, and they are overlapping. The interact and transact infections from one to the other, and we cannot really do much if we don't see, if we don't monitor how the unique beekeepers react, what they do with their hives. So there are multiple actors, and I think all of them can do for bee and insect life, and all of them can harm insect life.
Yeah, as well. Ru, what is your take on this?
I partially agree with Istvan. However, I wouldn't quite make the claim that we can tell exactly how the pesticide use is affecting the bees straight away. It's a very complex problem. There's so many things involved. So we are currently more just focused really on the practical uses of this data that we can collect within the beehives, but we are kind of being a bit more cautious in regards to making assumptions and making claims what we can actually predict and establish. It's a specific type of data that we are collecting at the moment, and then once we really build those algorithms using machine learning and prescriptive analytics and things like that, then we can actually make more sense of the data and create insights out of that data. So currently, we're more focused on really seeing how the environments and various actions taken by the beekeepers also are affecting the bees, and then also use that knowledge to really help the planet in a major way at a later stage once we have enough data.
Mm-hmm. Gabor, you are taking notes. It seems that you have something to say.
Yes, for sure.
Please share us.
So I think I move a little bit broader scope. I think there are many news about agriculture is one of the environmental poisoning job, or agriculture is the reason of the climate change especially, and in my opinion agriculture, farmers, including beekeepers, is the sufferer of climate change.
I mean the victim.
Victim, yes. Thank you very much. And some decision maker or the society, huge amount of the society is sitting in a climatized urban area and say, okay, farmers or beekeepers or agriculture is a victim of our environmental program, and we have to cooperate and help and communicate about agriculture, about using the proper way of pesticide, using the newest technology in our everyday life, and help each other work together and collaboration, and to show society that agriculture or food production, food and feed production is one of the good solution or way to protect our environment and nature.
István and Drew, what do you think about this question of who is the victim and who is the cause?
Well, I can certainly agree with Gabor there that the beekeepers really have been at the bad side of the deal, and that's been happening for decades. However, it's interesting to actually hear that coming from him, because a lot of this damage has been caused by the pesticides, which have been proven over decades again in many ways to be harmful, and not just immediately. With the research doesn't always show immediate lethality, right? But that's often the problem with the research also, that we must look at the long-term effects. And they, in fact, have been fighting to actually oppose these regulations of neonicotinoids that have been banned, for example, in EU at the moment, but they are continuing to sell those same substances, same products in Asia, in Africa, glyphosate as well, of course, in America. So they're continuing to make profit whilst it's actually been banned and proven to be harmful. So my question is that kind of a way an ethical and socially responsible business should act? I know it's maybe an uncomfortable question, but it is one that I have to ask, sorry.
I see Gabor taking notes. Before I give you the mic, I would like to ask if you have anything to add.
Well, actually, yes, because I think it is important to see that, yes, for bees, it is not good to have all these kind of modern agriculture, what we have since the 50s. The chemicals and the huge lands, what we work on with the tractors, is not good for the insect life. It is not good for bee life as well. But we also have to take a look at the beekeeper side. So it is not a black and white game that the good beekeepers do everything, but unfortunately bees die. It is sometimes the case, of course, but a lot of times we also have to help beekeepers to do better, to be honest, a bit, but also from the farmer side. In Hungary, there are a lot of cases when beekeepers and farmers go to the court to make a decision who made an error, why, like 500, 400 hives died. It's a huge amount of money and a big loss for the ecosystem, of course. But to be honest, because bees are making honey, everyone thinks about them as they are a nice stuff we should protect, which is true, but we need to go deeper. Who can do what to protect bee life? And this is actually humans, but humans at every scale.
Gábor.
Agree with you, and humans in every scale, especially urbanization and all other type of industrial growing is not good for nature. But farmers are, I think, in my view, farmers and big multinational companies, especially Bayer, enthusiastic to protect the farmers' products, and of course the bees as well. And I think we, to answer your question, we have to change our approach, because the European Union have a very strict, the strictest in the world, registration of plant protection products.
Which is
it's
good.
really good. It's really good. So it takes more than 10 years and 2 or 300,000 euro registration and active substance to available plant protection products on the market. And operating a hazard-based criteria. And we have to move our approach to risk and exposure based criteria if we use plant protection products. And for sure, the farmer or plant protection expert in Hungary, plant doctors, responsible for appropriate use of pesticide or plant protection products. And as Paracelsus said, everything is poisoning depend on the dose. So we have to think about this.
The dosage as well.
Dosage, yeah.
We have 2 minutes left, and I would like to ask you, gentlemen, to please give us a message, or if you have something very important that you want the viewers to take away from this conversation, what would that be? It has to be short, because there are 3 of you. So who would like to begin with?
Please, it's your turn.
Well, actually, I think bee life is very important, but all insect life is important for the environment, because they are the basis of the food chain.
Yeah, if the insects die, we die
exactly.
soon. But if humanity dies...
But we only monitor insect life through beehives, because this is the only place where we have a huge bunch of insects together which react to the environment. This is why we have to monitor them, and I think at least every beekeeper should have 1 or 2 monitoring devices to be able to show to the government or to the authorities what is the current status in the country.
Thank you. Ru or Gábor? Maybe. Yeah,
I guess I can just agree with this one. Certainly that monitoring and having actual data and actual proof of what's going on, it will be very beneficial. But there's also other things that need to be corrected and improved. And particularly, I'm referring to systemic change. What I would like everyone to have a look at is particularly a peer-reviewed paper by Cambridge University by Claire Robinson, Problems with the Current Risk Assessment Procedure for Pesticides in the EU. I would love everyone to actually have a look at that paper, and it's analyzed exactly how the systemic issues have been really responsible for us being in this situation at the moment, where huge multinational corporates are actually cherry-picking studies, and this is why some pesticides are approved, then they're banned afterwards, and we have all this chaos. We need some order, and the regulation needs to be improved, both soft and hard laws.
Please send us the link so we can put it into the chat box after the conversation or during the day, so like our organizers might be able to do that. So closing thoughts, and then we have to
Science.
say goodbye.
Science for better life and cooperation and trust,
Wow, yes, that's a perfect closing line.
considering the fact.
Yeah, the
Thank
fact.
you, Sari.
Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me for this conversation. And I guess we will continue soon because this is a topic which is like very important. Thank you very much. You don't go far because we go on soon.
Thank you very much.
Hát nagyon szép.
welcome back everyone. We are going to continue with a very interesting topic, water footprint. Let me greet Iona Dobrescu. Hi Iona, do you hear us and see us?
Yes, hi Andrea.
Hello, welcome.
Thank you.
We talk about water footprint. My first question is like, everyone heard about carbon footprint, of course, but water footprint?
Well, I'm happy to answer that question, but first I also prepared a video for our public today that also explains a bit about the water footprint.
Wonderful.
So maybe we can start with a video and then I'll also give an explanation.
Perfect, let's see it.
If you go to Piedmont Park, you'll see enormous blocks of ice, calling attention to the amount of water it takes to create ordinary things we use daily.
I've heard of a carbon footprint. I hadn't heard of the concept of a water footprint.
I would never have thought that a shirt would take that much water, and that's a lot.
People just aren't really aware. Well, it makes you think about owning, 10, 20, 30 t-shirts.
It was never on my radar, but it is now.
Start taking small steps, one less thing here, one less thing there.
To be able to quantify how much water it actually takes to create an object is really powerful.
That's a very well created video. Thank you very much for showing us. So tell us your take on this.
Well, as you've seen, the video was created mostly for the American market. It was part of a project we did with IBM and the Weather Channel. But in principle, the water footprint is a measure for the amount of water that we use to create a good or a service. And it can be measured either for a single process, such as growing a crop, for a product, such as a pair of jeans, but also for the fuel we put in our car or for an entire multinational company. We can also measure, for example, the water footprint of an entire nation, but also globally at river basin or aquifer level. And by applying the water footprint method, for example, we found out that it takes almost 300 liters of water to grow a kilogram of potatoes, more than 1,200 liters to grow a kilogram of maize, and more than 15,000 liters to grow a kilogram of beef.
Oh,
so
wow.
you can see that that makes meat one of the most water-intensive food items on our menus. And we also see that with a growing population and a growing middle class, the demand of meat is increasing, while at the same time, the pressure on our water sources in terms of water scarcity and pollution is also increasing.
So based on the numbers, then shall we all become vegetarians?
That's a very disputed topic, and I think one that is going to continue to be disputed for a long time. But besides sustainability considerations, there are many more factors relating to human behavior, to health, to culture, that play the dominant role in choosing what foods we eat. So while reducing the meat consumption is definitely something we recommend, of course, it also depends a bit on what you start with in the first place. Eating meat 3 times a day compared to eating meat 3 times a week already has a big impact on your water footprint.
And your health too. That's another matter. It's not for this discussion, but it's true.
Yeah. And while reducing intake is definitely something we recommend, it's not the only action that you can take. You can also pay more attention to where your meat and other food items are coming from. A cow or a chicken raised under industrial management systems is much more water intensive than the same animal that's coming from a free range farm, where it has been eating grain-fed pastures as opposed to irrigated feed crops. So, if you go to the supermarket, choose wisely, look at the labels on the products, look if it's coming from a local source or if it's being shipped from the other side of the world. Those are also considerants to take, except turning vegetarian all of a sudden.
So is that how the food we consume in Europe is dependent on other sources of water from all around the world, like because the source of the food what we consume is not local, so that's the equation there, or is there more to it?
That's the main part of it, because if you look at the entire world, almost 4 billion people are facing severe water scarcities in countries like Australia, North Africa, and India. But at the same time, if you look at where the products on our shelves, on our supermarket shelves in Europe are coming from, it's also from those countries like India, Australia, and North Africa. And what this means is that when we are importing a food product, we're also effectively importing the water embedded in that product, the water that was used locally to create or to grow that product. This is what we call a virtual water footprint. And basically, with the globalization of trade, we've also globalized our water problems. You can't say anymore that water scarcity is a local problem for a specific region or a specific country. It has become a global problem, which means that we also have a shared global responsibility in managing the world's water issues.
During our conversation, we see lovely pictures of the Danube behind me, and that's what the viewers also see, because we are in Budapest, and of course, we have the Danube here. My question, I would jump back a little bit on the importance of water footprint. Why is it better than carbon footprint? Maybe, is it because that I can attach to it more emotionally, or why do you use it?
I don't think it's better than the carbon footprint. It's just one of the environmental footprints, the family of environmental footprints that we have to look at. And while a carbon footprint has already received a lot of awareness in the past decades, and a lot of individual consumers, but also companies, multinationals, governments have taken action towards reducing the carbon footprint. There is still a lot of work to be done on the water footprint. So what we are doing is trying to raise the awareness about water consumption worldwide and how that relates to each individual consumer as well.
I see. So can we actually benchmark water, and is there an amount of water that is too much?
Of course, when we talk about water sustainability and what the sustainable water footprint is, we don't intend to say that you should entirely stop using water for specific activities. For each type of activity or for each product that we create, there's a certain amount of water necessary. And the best that we can do is find out what's the optimal water use for that specific product or that specific service. So this is what we call doing water benchmarks. And in that field, there's still a lot of work to be done. Even though in our publicly available water footprint assessment tool, which I can also send the link maybe after this talk to share with our audience.
Please do.
There is a freely available online water footprint assessment tool where you can find information on benchmarks for water use for almost all the main crops in the world.
So, for example, if there's a viewer who would like to implement something in their own business, or a student who would like to add on this topic, they can go online, watch the links, or try the links, or is there anything more they can adopt?
The water footprint concept and the methodology for doing water footprint assessment is also freely available, and there's a manual that's published online that anybody can have a look at, be it a student or even a company that wants to do their own water footprint assessment. They can go online, they can learn to do it themselves. And at the same time, they can also go to the water footprint assessment tool, and they can even do exercises or do assessments for their own query. So if you're a company and you want to know what the water footprint of your production process might be, provided of course that part of your supply chain lies in the agricultural sector, for which we have the most data. You can go online and you can do a test trial of your water footprint via the tool.
So this is an event about Agritech, and the question is already been partly tackled, and I would like you to elaborate more on how exactly can smart agriculture or Agritech help this issue.
I think smart agriculture can help quite a lot, both in greenhouse scenarios and also in open field agriculture. Especially by providing technologies that can help measure the water needs of crops under specific geographical and meteorological conditions. And that can also provide real-time data for farmers to manage, for example, their irrigation schedules. And here I can think of remote sensing, satellite data combined with meteorological forecasts that can already alert a farmer that if they expect rain in the coming days, then they should hold irrigation for that period of time. Because we see that in a lot of cases, also because of lack of knowledge on water use for specific crops or on benchmarks for specific crops, a lot of farmers do over-irrigate, and that, of course, leads to unnecessary use of water resources.
Do you have favorite projects that you've seen, or best practices that you are enthusiastic about?
Yes, of course, and it's a difficult choice to make because
tell us more. You can tell more than one.
Yeah, we have quite a wide range of projects that we work on, from very specific type of projects where we look at the supply chain of a specific company. So we measure the amount of water all along the supply chain, for example, for a fashion brand. So we look at the cotton growth, how much water is being used at the cotton growth stage, then at the cotton processing stage, all the way to the end consumer, to the person wearing the piece of clothing. And that's a very detailed sort of analysis. And at the same time, we also look more globally at the water use of nations. And we are working now with on a project looking at transboundary water cooperation and how the virtual water footprint plays a role in this case. How can we help policymakers and governmental decision makers take more informed decision towards water management by looking at the virtual water trade that takes place between the countries. So it's two very different levels of insight into how the water footprint can be applied.
They all sound promising. I have one last question, which is an idea actually. Would, for example, labeling help if there were water labels on Agritech products and food?
I think it would definitely help with awareness raising, just as we also become more aware of sustainability issues along supply chains, for example, with the fair trade label. It will definitely help. At the same time, we also see that every sustainability label, especially in the supermarkets, gets its own little shelf, let's say like that, or section in the supermarket. And what we ideally want to avoid is shifting the responsibility towards the consumer. That we always burden the consumer with making the choices about the sustainability of the foods they consume. So that, when you go to the supermarket, you end up staying in front of the shelf for half an hour reading all the labels and what they mean. So ideally, we would come to a situation where sustainability becomes the norm, so that you don't have to go as a consumer through this process of always checking the labels. But in the beginning, for awareness raising, I think it does help.
Okay, so we'll see how it goes. Iona, I would like to thank you for this conversation. I think it was really interesting, and I hope we work together and meet very soon.
Thank you as well, Andrea. Thank you for inviting me, and good luck with the rest of the program.
Thank you very much. Dear viewers, don't go far because we are continuing the conference soon. Hello and welcome back, everyone. Our next topic is truly interesting because it's all about COVID effects on agriculture. I would like to welcome our speaker, Francisco Delgado, from the European Foundation for Innovation and Technological Development. Hello, Juan. Do you hear and see me?
Thank you for you. Thank you for my invitation.
Wonderful. So welcome in our wonderful conference. Of course, I could ask, has COVID had an effect on the agricultural food chain? Of course it had. In what ways? Please tell us.
Several things have influenced it. The first question, the supply chain disruption. Reached in the interruption, especially in the first moment of the confinement. Fortunately, in the second wave, everything was more oiled. The second question, the lack of labor in agriculture operation and processing industry. Immigrant could not travel in agriculture campaign. Mobility was reduced. The anti-COVID regulation were difficulty to complete with tests with max distance in the house where they were staying. It was necessary to resort to common standard in the European Union. Germany and Spain were exemplary. The measure worker, France turned to the unemployed and student. And third question, closing of restaurant and bar. Demand decreased by 30%, which was offset by 27% increase in domestic consumption. But there was an industry that suffered more because it sold more in this sector. The meat industry, beef, lamb, cheese, ham, fish, and wine and beer. They did not have a storage capacity for the decrease in demand. The conversion toward e-commerce has somewhat alleviated this disaster of the closure of the hotel business. More than 30% of hospitality business with no reopen after COVID. And for question, e-commerce of grocery has increased 10%, 10 or 50%. There are many opportunities here.
Well, if we look back a little bit in time, I know that in 2019, that was the first time when Europe has actually overtaken China as the world's second most invested Agritech region. So the promises were quite high. What has changed, and what is happening now in that?
Fundamentally, investment in new type of food, research of new protein, genetic research, and especially the delivery sector. Europe has a high potential for innovation in agri-food sector. Spain, France, and Italy have always been the strongest country in the food industry. Now, they must take the lab and the lead investment in innovation. A new way of younger people must take over from traditional Italian, French, and Spanish food. There are already examples at that point.
If we look at the Agritech region, it's like, based on what you say, it's safe to say that there are positive and negative effects too. Can you elaborate more on the portion and also give us examples some more?
Yes, note the reduction of the order from the catering sector are doing a lot damage to the agri-food sector, especially in some sector more linked to restaurant and event. The positive has been that farmers have been our heroes in the pandemic. They have made impossible for people to eat. The supply chain are not interrupted. Now the challenge will be to have food for everyone in the face of the post-pandemic economic crisis, as have positive effect in the digitalization of the sector has been improved with the appearance of e-commerce in this sector, which was very early stage, but it has grown fit numerous marketplaces have appeared in local shop that have stranger.
And does sustainability, and in what ways will play a role after COVID?
Sorry, repeat for me the question.
I'm asking about sustainability at the moment. What kind of role will it play the after, maybe during also the COVID, which is now, and the after COVID era?
Yes. After COVID, it is the great K factor. The green public policy. The public authority have developed sustainability plans due to COVID, due to the need for recovery, but it is key to reduce the greenhouse effect. Agriculture by 30%, and to reduce agriculture was the 15% of total. This is be our next big challenge. The next big challenge is the sustainability for the agri-food sector.
Mm-hmm. And in your view, how can the smart Agritech help on that, or is there any examples which you already seen and makes you enthusiastic?
Yes, and in Europe, those linking for the quality, also the that relative healthy eating, zero sugar, vegetable drink, and the entire industry linked to the so-called zero waste. Novel farming system, farm mechanization, automation, genetic, crop rotation, animal welfare, big data and precision agriculture, farm management and information and education service, trading platform, outsourcing and financing, bioenergy,
wow.
biomaterial, other renewable supply chain technology, innovative food and beverage. Mm-hmm. Example, in Europe, the top agriculture company, for example, Global is one company, Exit, Indigo, mm-hmm. Infar is indoor industry, Smart Farm, Semions, Cortilia is an example of the startup.
And what did they do really well to be there on top? What's the lesson there?
In this sector, this is everything to do. We are at 5% innovation, especially in the productive sector and the transformation industry. 30 years ago, when farmers from South Spain in desert areas went to Israel to see innovation in irrigation issues. They learned a lot. Today, Israeli farmers say they have outgrown them, and in fact, Spain has become the country Europe. Learn, observe, and copy, create innovation.
Mm-hmm. If for example, there's a viewer who would like to achieve a lot in this industry. What is your advice? What is your personal advice?
That the digital transformation and the arrival of artificial intelligence will produce a chance for sustainable development. I think in the great chance after COVID, we have to feed 9 billion people with a green economy. That respect the plan, and that is the great challenge.
And for that, if you had a billboard which you could write a message on for future generations or the generations who are viewing now, what would be your message on that billboard? What is that 1 or 2 lines that you think is very important?
Thank you. Yes, it's very important. Thank you very much for your invitation. And my contribution is the next era of the after COVID is the sustainability.
So sustainability above almost all. And creativity as well, as we heard during our conversation. Thank you very much for this conversation, and wishing you good luck for your work, and hopefully see you soon.
Thank you.
So, dear viewers, actually, we have reached the end of our conference. So thank you very much for joining us in this wonderful 2 days conference. And this Future of Agritech was brought to you as a part of the X Europe program, an EU-funded project by Age 2020. And we would like to say special thanks to our partners there, which are F6S, The Next Web, TechChill, and Growth Tribe. Please do share your what you have seen here, and also follow us on the social media, because Design Terminal's social media is to be checked. The highlights will be there, and also these sessions will be available on Design Terminal's YouTube channel. And a huge thanks to all of our speakers, because I think they really made this conference awesome. So thank you very much. Once again, thank you, and stay safe and stay optimistic.